Hello everyone, it's Ibran here. Welcome back to another video. So I'm going to react to another Thomas and Friends audio story by Kiefer Adams, and this one is called Animal Antics. This was the newest one that was uploaded yesterday on his channel. I didn't react to it yesterday because yesterday I reacted to the first audio story of series 4, and that was Little Giant Big Trouble. You want to go check that out. It's going to be in the top right corner of your screen. Cool to see. And like I say about that story, it was cool to see another Drop TVS character getting the spotlight. So, yeah, I was a week late on the first audio story, hence the reason why I'm only reacting to that. Hence the reason why I reacted to that one yesterday. I only reacted to the new one that was uploaded today. So, I really enjoyed the first audio story. Definitely a great way to kick off Series 4. Animal Antics, it does see is actually another story that I found quite interesting from the thumbnail. So apparently, this was based off one of Kiefer's favorite childhood Thomas books, which was called Thomas and the Hide and Go Seek Animals, where a bunch of animals escape the Sodor Wildlife Park, and the engines, including Thomas, have to find them and return them to safety. And it's also going to introduce another one of Kiefer's OC's characters called Janet. So it'll be interesting to see who Janet exactly is. I have a feeling, though, she is the Sodor Wildlife Park keeper, but that's my feeling. But I really love Kiefer's audio story, Thomas audio stories. And I really enjoyed yesterday's one. It was a great way to start Series 4, and I'm looking forward to seeing what this one has in store for us today. Links to the video I'm reacting to in the description down below. As always, so without further ado, let's go ahead and get straight into this.
Animal Antics, written and told by Kiefer Adams. One morning, Emily, Oliver and Thomas were resting at Wellsworth Station when the Fat Controller arrived.
Okay, that's quite unusual.
Good morning, sir, said Oliver. You look flustered. There's been an emergency, said the Fat Controller. The Sodor Wildlife Park has lost most of its animals. They escaped during last night. That's awful, said Emily. Can we help? I'm sure you can, replied the Fat Controller. He quickly turned to Thomas. Janet, the off-road vehicle that works at the park, would like you to go and find most of...
So Janet, hold on, let me see if this is recording. Yep, it is. So Janet's the off-road parker, the off-road driver who at the Sodor Wildlife Park. I get it now.
The animals. Yes, sir, said Thomas. He then turned back to Oliver and Emily. Any engines you find, tell them about the situation and make sure they have trucks at the ready if any of the animals are spotted. Count on us, sir, said Oliver confidently.
Yep, you can count on the engines of the NWR.
Don't let me down, he said, and he hurried away. Those poor animals, said Emily. Will we find them? Of course we will, said Thomas. We will not let the Fat Controller down.
No,
he hurried away to meet Janet. But Oliver and Emily were slightly nervous about the whole ordeal. Before long, all of the Fat Controller's engines were told to keep an eye out for the missing animals. James was up on the main line delivering fruit and vegetables to market.
There's an elephant!
He was just passing a small farm when he was surprised to find a large Asian elephant grazing nearby.
It's an Asian elephant as well.
Goodness me! James exclaimed, and he came to a slow stop. The elephant slowly turned and trumpeted a greeting. It was lucky for James that there was an empty cattle truck, as he had just delivered sheep to market on his previous run. We'll take the elephant in that and bring it back to the park, said his driver.
That's a very good idea.
Can't we just leave it here? Groaned James, but he knew they couldn't. The elephant was soon in the cattle.
You can't leave animals in the middle of nowhere, James. They might die of starvation and thirst. At least I mean, it's good that he knows deep down they can't leave it, but James still wants to leave it. Come on, James. I thought you would know better than that.
Cattle truck, coaxed by the driver's bunch of bananas, and James took the animal back to the park. There were still more animals to find. All over the island of Sodor, the engines were getting surprises here, there and everywhere.
Look at that!
Edward was bringing trucks of coal up from the top station when he saw a giant hippopotamus. It was looking for mud to wallow in. Edward's crew were able to contact the Sodor Wildlife Park, and before long, a lorry was called up to collect the hippo. Percy, on the other hand, got a big surprise at Dryall Station when two zebras galloped around
so
the
Percy
station
finds
yard.
the zebras.
A horse box was soon called to collect the zebras. Meanwhile, Oliver was just telling Toad about the ordeal that they were facing when Toad felt something flutter against his frames.
Those
I don't like the feel
ostrich.
of that, Mr. Oliver.
He quivered.
Those
Oliver
are
was
ostriches.
just about to perk up when he was stunned to see two ostriches.
Yeah,
They
they're
were looking for
ostriches.
something to eat.
Glad I got that right.
Oh dear, Oliver exclaimed. That won't do. It
No,
was lucky that
why?
there was an open truck in the yard. Oliver and Toad collected it and headed up to the park. But the biggest surprise of all came from Emily. She had been worried all morning about the animals, and the last thing she didn't expect was a giraffe.
A
Walking
giraffe
slowly down the line.
on the main line.
Goodness, she cried. Luckily, Emily's crew were able to contact the wildlife park, who were able to collect the giraffe and take it back to the park after Emily had managed to coax it down the line to an open area where it could be collected safely. Further up the line, Thomas, Annie and Clarabel were helping Janet, the park's off-road vehicle, find more of the animals.
Ah, for some weird reason, I thought Janet was actually a human being, but it turns out Janet's actually this off-road vehicle, talking off-road vehicle that works at the Sodor Wildlife Park. And look at Thomas getting the monkeys all over the top of
I
him.
hope we find them all by sundown, she said worriedly. I don't want the park to close with no animals in it. We'll find them, said Thomas. Don't you worry. They were just passing through Henry's forest when... Eek! cried Annie and Clarabel. Get it off! Get it off! Get what off? Asked Thomas. But he then felt something pitter-patter across his cab roof. The next thing he knew, and to Janet's surprise, 6 monkeys dropped down from the trees and started walking across Thomas, Annie and Clarabel's roofs. One monkey, bigger than the rest, walked towards Janet. She noticed a bunch of keys wrapped round its tail.
The keys!
"Oh, little beggar," she exclaimed. "That's how all the animals escaped."
So the monkey grabbed the key with his, managed to grab the keys, and the monkeys were the ones who let all the animals out. That's proper Curious George tactics right there. No offense to George, but that's proper Curious George tactics right there.
Thomas was
Something
quite
Curious George would
surprised at
do.
this. "How are we going to get them back to the park?" he asked. "We'll have to use your coaches," said Janet. "You will certainly not," said Annie. "We're not carrying monkeys," snapped Clarabel. "Janet's right," said Thomas. "There's no other way we can
Thomas
take
actually
them
is
back to the
agreeing
park."
with them.
And so it was arranged. Thomas's driver and fireman and Janet's owner carefully mounted the monkeys into Annie and Clarabel. And very carefully, Thomas took them back to the park, where Janet would hope that the rest of the animals had been recovered. "Oh, that's a relief," Janet told Thomas later on. "We're just missing one animal now.
The
I'll have
rhinoceroses
Percy go and find it."
with Diesel.
Meanwhile, Devious Diesel was sulking. He was helping to build a new suspension bridge. He had heard about the animals' escape, but was worried
He's helping build the Sodor suspension bridge. He is right there. That appeared in Calling All Engines. I really like how Kiefer manages to try and tie in some events of the TVS right there. The amount of lore he gives the TVS world of Thomas is just insane.
counter on himself. At that moment, Diesel heard rustling in the bushes nearby. "Nice try, Thomas," he scowled. "You
not
can't
Thomas,
fool
though.
me with your tricks." But instead of a whistle, Diesel heard a respond in reply. The next thing he knew, a large rhinoceros charged out of the bushes. It galloped across the tracks and disappeared within moments. Diesel was rather shaken up. By the time Percy arrived, Diesel had gone green, but he was able to point Percy in the right direction of the rhino. Percy and the keeper tracked it down half a mile down the line. It was safely loaded
Well done,
and brought
Percy.
back to the park. Most of the animals, such as lions and tigers, had thankfully not escaped, and Janet was pleased that all the animals were safe and sound back at the wildlife park. Later that evening, Thomas and Emily were chatting to Janet when the Fat Controller arrived.
Okay, what's going to happen now?
Well done to you all, he congratulated. I'm very proud of your work today. All the animals have been safely returned to the park. I couldn't have done it without your engines, sir, said Janet. They were absolutely splendid. We're very happy to help, said Thomas. The Fat Controller was very pleased. Janet soon headed back to the wildlife park. What
Goodbye,
a
Janet.
day, Emily exclaimed. I hope we'll never get to do anything like that again. I agree, replied Thomas. I've had enough monkeying around for one whole day. Emily and Thomas laughed and headed back home to the comforts of Tidmouth Sheds.
Is that it? Wow. I mean, I've never seen. I never actually read the original book, but from just listening to this audio story right here, I can tell that Kiefer, it was definitely a fan favorite of Kiefer, just right here, because and I love how this story was set within. He made the story feel like it was from series 7 right here. I mean, like I said, the amount of TBS lore that Kiefer is able to give is just insane. It's just absolutely insane. I mean, he was foreshadowing the event of Calling All Engines as Diesel was having to build a suspension bridge. So we know how the suspension bridge in the TBS in Kiefer's eyes was built. And this story definitely does feel like it could have been a great Series 7 episode. I mean, I don't know if that book was the book that Kiefer was talking about was published before Series 7. But if it was, then it definitely would have been a good story to adapt for Series 7. 7 it was right there. Maybe in place of episodes like The Old Bridge, for example, that people seem to hate. But yeah, that was definitely a thoroughly enjoyable story. Animal antics. I mean, what do you expect from animals? You just expect their usual antics from when they escape from the zoo. I mean, those monkeys. I was surprised Curious George was one of the monkeys who managed to grab the keys and to let them all out right there. But who knows? Maybe we'll get a Thomas and Curious George crossover one day. But story was good. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Like how this was tried to set and he tried to give a Series 7 vibe to it. And yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed the story. Another good audio story, Kiefer. Can't wait to see what happens this Sunday. What story you have installed this Sunday? But if you do want to check out any of my previous Thomas reactions, whenever it's an audio story or a Trains adaptation, there's going to be a playlist coming up in the top right corner of your screen right now. So I hope you all enjoyed this video. If you did, hit that like button for me. Let me know in the comments down below what you thought of this Thomas audio story I reacted to. Also, let me know in the comments down below what other videos you want me to react to next. Follow me on Instagram. My links will be in the description down below. Share this video. Subscribe if you're new here. Ring that bell to get notified when I upload new videos or when I post on the community tab. And I'll see you all in the next one. Bye!